Hello out there. We're on the air. Happy Monday. We're going to say that 10 times. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Are we live? I see 0 people in here. Oh, there we go. She updated. Okay, well, I have to apologize here for being late. I'll speak on it in 1 second here. Just let me get this sorted out over on the Zap.stream. Looks like we're still pulling through the golf show from last week. Dashboard, edit stream. Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Nice to see some faces in the chat this morning. It has been a morning here for me, but we made it. Even though we're a little bit late, it was needed. It was very much needed. So Zap.stream is back. We're live over there. Letha's there. Okay, so today's going to be a little bit different. Let me tell you a little bit about what's going on here. So everything was going good. It was woke up, slept in a little bit today, but nothing major. So we had a late night last night. And then I sent out a post. I was doing some notes for the show this morning, getting everything ready as usual, just like every single day. And took a picture. Arnie was laying at my feet. Everything was good. And then literally 30 seconds after I posted that picture, shit hit the fan. And so we had a couple unexpected circumstances pop up this morning. High stress. Didn't have any time to prepare for the show this morning. And I even took an extra 5 minutes in the shower today because I needed it. I just needed to cool down, reflect on a few things. The thing for me, and this has worked, and I mean, it's the reason why I'm here on the show today. I almost just said, fuck it. But whenever you're in situations like that, for me anyways, whether it's nerves, fear, stress, anxiety, anything like that, just take like 5-10 minutes and just really think hard about all the things you're grateful for. Switch from whatever mood you're in. Like I said, stress, anxiety, fear, nervousness, just switch it to gratefulness and ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing. And so I'm here today. It's going to look a little bit different. I had a nice title for the show. I had a bunch of things I want to talk about, but we're going to get through it as best we can. That's it. So I see some faces in the chat. Daniel's over in Zap.stream. Adrian's over there as well. Good morning, everybody. And on the YouTube, Jason, Daniel, Brennan, great theme for today, coffee. Cheers. And as Letha just said over in Zap.stream, calm and cheerful. That's it. Today was a hard one for me. It was a good test for me today. And we're here. We'll see how the show's going to go, but we made it through the hardest part of turning the camera on and showing up. BTC Backpacker, good morning from Idaho, mowing for those sats today. I really want a bit of a background story on that sometime. What's going on with the sats for grass? That'd be a good name for it, sats for grass. I want to know if they're paying you in sats or you're taking cash and converting it to sats. Because if your customers are paying you in sats, I feel like that's a pretty big deal that we should be talking about on this show. Adrian says, mowing the lawn seems to be popular these days. I need to mow the lawn today. There was about, I don't know if it's just a reflection in the right now, but there was literally 1 million dandelions in the yard yesterday. And I don't know where they all went. It seems like they pop up in like a day and then they're gone in a day. I don't understand dandelions. Stand Up Vegan says, gratitude is so powerful. I practice extreme gratitude, grateful for everything big or small in my life. It really is. And honestly, I probably wouldn't have showed up for the show this morning had I not done that. And like I said, I was an extra 5-10 minutes late today, but I needed it. And so I apologize for being late. I hope you can understand that. And we're going to get through it. We're going to have a good show today. Easy to do and pays well. I take advantage of people's laziness. Mowing the grass, honestly, we had two landscaping businesses when I was in high school. One of them was called Landscape Escape, and one of them was called Lawn Studs. Lawn Studs was because we were in college and university, and every summer we'd go home. We'd do our lawn studs, short for students, lawn students, but there was 3 of us that did it, so we were called the Lawn Studs, and it's pretty good, honestly. The first summer we did it as Landscape Escape, it was just like your perfect typical mowing grass for beer money. Like, we honestly, the 3 of us cut grasses, we set up tents, we'd take all the cash, pool it all together for the whole summer. And at the end of the summer, we would just take a trip somewhere. That's all we would do with it. We wouldn't, I mean, when you're that age, you don't have much for bills or financial responsibility. So we just took all of our money from cutting grass and landscaping and doing tents. And we went to the Minot State Fair. We watched Blink-182, Fall Out Boy, and we just blew it all. That's just like, we were 19 or 20 years old, and we earned the cash cutting grass, and we just went to party with it. Bought a bunch of beer in the States and went to the Minot State Fair. So I think that if I was going to do one, and this is actually, 10, 15 years down the road, I would really love to get back together with the 3 of us. And I've told them this before, and start an actual landscaping business and lawn care. I think that there is such huge demand for that. And it's something that AI is not going to be able to replace. I mean, you're outside all day, you're in the sun, you're working with your buddies. And as BTC Backpacker said here, it's just people's laziness. Everybody's so busy. So I do think that AI will be able to help. I think that there's already robotic lawn. I can't even think of the name for it. That's where my head is this morning. Robotic, just like the Roombas that go around your house, there's ones that go around the lawn now. And so if you could just set that up and do the edges, I think you could have a pretty good business. So maybe we'll convert some of our Bitcoin into that one year. Anyways, let's get to some stuff here. I'll start with the metrics, and then we will get into a few things. I got a lot of stuff to talk about today. What a weekend it was. So let's go here. We are currently at block height 845,377. And if you're transacting on the layer 1, the fees have just shot up in the last half hour here or so, 40 sats per VByte. So unless you have to be moving some Bitcoin around this morning, I would not recommend it. Wait for the fees to be about 10, 15, 20 sats per VByte, and then you can move them. Metrics today. The price of Bitcoin, $68,543 US. 1 year ago today, you could have got a Bitcoin for $26,837 US. And 4 years ago, you could have got one for 9,187 USD. Moscow time today, $1 US will get you 1,458 sats. The price in Canada, $93,603. $93,000. $93,000 for one Bitcoin. I saw that, if you just think about that, think about how rare it is today already to own one Bitcoin. Because how many people that you know in your life personally, think about it. Just think for like 5 seconds here. Think about how many people in your life could go out and buy one Bitcoin right now for $93,000. How many people have $93,000 in the bank account? Not many. And it's only going to go up. And it's going to be, we did a show last week talking about how rare it's going to be to own 1 million sats. And if you can kind of make that your goal right now is to get to 1 million sats, if you're somebody who's just getting into Bitcoin, you're going to be doing very well for yourself. Because that's only one, that's still what? What's 1 million there? That'd be $900. talk about how many people own $93,000. How many people that you know, like in your life, in your day-to-day life, have $900 just sitting around that they can put into Bitcoin? There's not too many. Everything's so expensive now. People are kind of struggling in every aspect of life for the most part. I mean, there's the 1% out there who are doing quite well, benefiting all of this off of this stuff. But Moose Jaw time today, $1 Canadian will get you 10,068 sats. So there you go. Last week we saw, we looked at this thing, timechaincalendar.com, and we looked at block 4,400. So you can see the sats per USD there, 1453. And we looked at it all the way back at block half of this. So 8 years ago. For one, it was a little bit more than that last time. But anyways, same idea. 163,000 sats. That's how much you got for $1 US. And today you get 1,400. So time, patience, that's what you need here in Bitcoin. Okay, let's keep things rolling here. I apologize. This is the, when you do a show every day, every single day, you're going to have some bad days, some bad mornings, and you're not always going to be in the best mood, but I'm trying here. So give me a little bit of slack. Let's say that. A couple things I did want to talk about first to start the show is on the weekend. Maybe I'll show this too, because this is pretty wild. This was a wild thing that happened to me over the weekend. Let me go here. So I posted a video on the weekend that got a bunch of views on it. I think 10,000 views, which is the most of any video I posted before. And with that, it was about Ethereum. 10,000 views on it, probably 500 comments on it. And that was the day that it snowed here. So it started snowing and there was snow on the ground on, I think it was Saturday morning. And so I didn't have anything to do. So I woke up, I saw that this video was going half viral or semi-viral. And so I started reading some of the comments. Some of them are good. A lot of them were bad. A lot of Ethereum people on there weren't very happy about the video. And for the most part on YouTube, I've been fairly consistent with responding to a lot of the comments on there, good or bad. And I think that part when you're trying to build up a brand and an audience, you have to interact with people on there. You can't just be talking to people. It has to be a two-way conversation. And so I started doing the same. I was very bored and I started commenting back to some of these people. And I was just having fun with it for the most part, but some of them got pretty upset, I guess. And so one guy, he went out of his way to comment on every single video or every single comment almost. And he kept saying the same thing over and over again. It was a fairly mean comment, but at the same time, whatever. So I just kind of went on there and I said, under each of his comments, I said, I very much appreciate you. I don't know if you realize it or not, but you're helping boost the channel and get these videos in front of more eyes just by commenting on it. So then I went to do it again and it wouldn't work. So then I looked and all of a sudden the comments went from like 450 to like 400. So he went back and deleted all of his comments because he realized that he was actually helping my channel by leaving so many comments on there. But then I looked at my email and look what happened here. So this is starting on Saturday. You can see all these emails here. U.S. Customs, Counterterrorism, the Bureau of Alcohol, Veterans Health, U.S. Fire Administration, all the way up. And that's page 3 of it. Here's page 2. Same thing. So the Ethereum crowd didn't take too friendly to my video on the weekend. These are all, somebody went and signed me up for a bunch of email subscriptions here. From Food and Fitness, Parenting from WebMD, Campaign Nucleus. I mean, pretty good trick. Pretty good tactic there. Very annoying. I'm going to have to go through all of these emails here and delete them and unsubscribe to all these. But I mean, that's the kind of people that we're up against here. Just very, very scum of the earth, greasy human beings. And it was probably my fault in a lot of ways. I shouldn't have really poked the bear. But at the same time, I just feel like people really need to get some. Oh, Zap.stream just went down. What the heck? Did I run out of tokens? No. I don't know what the heck happened there. Anyway, Zap.stream went down. Sorry about that. Zap.stream. Let's top it up. Okay, we'll do that another time. Anyways, that's what happened over on YouTube this weekend. Is I got attacked, you might say. I got attacked by. Oh no, it's still going. Okay, we're good. I got attacked by the Ethereum crowd. So that was fun. But a couple things I was going to say on that is that it's. I mean, I'm not trying to bash Ethereum with it at all. I don't like Ethereum at all. But the reason I'm saying it is because I think that there are a lot of people, maybe even within the people who watch the show, who hold Ethereum just because it's cheaper than Bitcoin, and they really have no idea why they hold it. They have no idea who controls it, the issue and schedule, nothing like that. And I just think that this is kind of like low hanging fruit. People who are already into Bitcoin, I just want those people to trade in their Ethereum for Bitcoin. I mean, I'm not going to force anybody to do anything. I'm just kind of giving my reason and logic for doing so. So, what the heck? Anyways, let's keep going. I did actually, before shit hit the fan totally this morning, I was able to get a couple news things. There was some huge news on the weekend in terms of Bitcoin. And honestly, when I was preparing for the show today, I was like, this is going to be an absolute banger today. Because I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but there was some big news in the political landscape over the weekend. Something I've been waiting a long time to see, and it finally happened. It finally came to life. So let's watch this clip quickly. Where is it? Oh, that's not the one I want. Where is it? There we go. Here we go. So Trump was at a libertarian conference, I believe, on the weekend. And I don't know what's going on here. You know, some days, I don't know if you can hear me or not. I don't know if you can see me or not. But some days, this is just the way she goes. Are we back? We're back. Okay, let's bring this up. I'll let Trump talk, and then we'll talk about it after.
I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA, not driven overseas. I will support the right to self-custody. To the nation's 50 million crypto holders, I say this with your vote. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency. I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA, not driven overseas. I will support the right to self-custody. To the nation's 50 million crypto holders, I say this with your vote. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency.
So, and at the same time here, Trump also announced that on day one he was going to free Ross Ulbright, the creator of the Silk Road back in, I don't know, 2012, 2013. He's been in jail for, I think, 10 or 11 years now, maybe more than that. And Trump said on day one he was going to free Ross. So aside from the Bitcoin stuff, I mean, this is with the politicians and stuff. I understand that with everything here, including this channel, there's going to be people on both sides of things. People who love Trump, people who hate Trump. There's a lot of people who have Trump derangement syndrome, for sure. A lot of people in Bitcoin do. But at the same time, that's okay. It's okay to have an opinion and have, support who you want to. I'm not going to tell you who to support. I'm just saying that forget the word Trump here. This is probably one of the most, if not the most well-known, most influential person on the planet. And not only did he say that he was going to promote and embrace and help people self-custody their Bitcoin, but he said that there would never be a central bank digital currency. And I remember, one of the reasons why I got into this whole rabbit hole that led me to this point here on YouTube, talking to a bunch of people in the chat here, was that I was very fearful of our future. I was fearful that no matter what was going to happen, we were going to be led down this path towards a central bank digital currency. That's the only thing that made sense to me at the time. I thought that there was really no other way around this whole thing, because we have our fiat world right now that's, it's getting worse by the day, it seems like. And I just imagined a world of central bank digital currencies being 100 times worse than that. Because at least we still have cash now. At least there's still a few roundabout things that you can do if you wanted to remain somewhat anonymous and private in your transactions day to day. But I figured that they were leading us down this path towards central bank digital currencies. And to hear him say that, not only about Bitcoin, but to say that there will never be a central bank digital currency in the US if he's president, that's a big deal. And as I said, a lot of people have the Trump derangement syndrome. That's okay. But if you actually look at what he's done and what he's talked about and actually doing it, there's a lot of people saying, well, trust his actions, not his words. If there's been one politician in history who has actually kept his word on a lot of things that he said, it's been Trump. So you can love him, you can hate him. He is the most influential person on the planet, probably, and he's embracing Bitcoin. This is a very, very, very big deal. Very big deal. So I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm not going to tell you to love Trump. I'm just saying that this is a very big deal. So let's get out of this thing somehow. There we go. And what else did we have here this morning? I saw a tweet. Let's follow this up with a tweet from Max Kaiser that I saw. Sorry, as I said, I didn't have a lot of time. I'm sure people are just showing up thinking, what the hell is going on here? This guy's just a bunch of empty silence here. But we had an issue this morning. We didn't have any time to prepare for the show, but we're here. What did Max say? Of course. So Max said, with Trump in the game, Bitcoin's rebellious, do-it-yourself, mid-70s like cypherpunk era is truly done and dusted. Nation-state, hedge funds, and sovereign wealth funds game theory kicks in, price heading to 1 million. Remember, Bitcoin has no top because fiat has no bottom. Keep that in mind, is that Bitcoin has no top because fiat has no bottom. And, with that, he said it's going to 1 million. I think it could go to 100 million, could go to a billion, it could go to a trillion, because there's no top for it. Fiat has no bottom. Everything on earth, including Ethereum, especially Ethereum, is going to continue to fall in comparison to Bitcoin. Jason says the people want to know, how is Arnie? Arnie's fine. Arnie's fine. He's laying in his bed right now. He was part of the issue this morning, but he's okay. He's still alive. He's still kicking. No need to worry about Arnie. Fanta says Trump will say anything to get idiots to vote for him. I mean, that's your opinion. I have a much different opinion on that. He's a politician. And the one thing, honestly, well, just because of this comment, I was kind of done with the Trump talk for today. But at the same time, Trump is the reason, aside from the Bitcoin thing and discovering Bitcoin, the CBDCs, but Trump really opened my eyes to everything. In 2020, there was a lot of uncertainty. There were a lot of weird things happening in the world. And now there was a lot of questions I had without any sort of answers. And as I started digging into a few things that Trump was connected to in some ways, and people within his inner circle and what they were saying, it made a lot of sense to me. And it really opened my eyes to what had been going on in the world, completely behind the curtains to me. I had no idea that any of this was going on in terms of the dollar, in terms of governments, in terms of big pharma, in terms of all of that. I was completely oblivious and blind to it. And Trump was the guy. Trump, in a roundabout way, was the person who opened my eyes to all of this. And so, I mean, you can just say that he's a politician and he's just trying to get people to vote for him. I disagree with that. I think that he's made a very lasting difference in a lot of people's lives. And if you look at his rallies, you can see and feel the energy there, because there's a lot of people at those rallies and the people who show up for those rallies who went through the same thing. They've been lied to for their entire lives up to this point. And there's finally a person up on stage who's talking to us and wants to help us. And there's never been anybody like that before. All the other politicians, you could tell that they were just reading somebody else's words. And this was a guy who was very candid and very, people say that he's dumb. I think he's one of the most intelligent people out there. If you watch his speeches, a lot of the stuff that he says is off the cuff. Some of it's rehearsed and gone through in his mind before, but he says what he wants to say. He doesn't say what people tell him to say. And for a politician, that's a big deal. So you can think what you want on him. I don't really care. He's the reason, he woke me up to a lot of things that were going on in the world, and I'll be forever grateful for him for that. So that's it. Lots going on over in Zap.stream here this morning. And just going back to the Ethereum stuff here, there's a few comments in Zap.stream. Daniel said you have to reply to every comment. Gary Vee built his whole business that way. He commented on every post about wine he found and replied to everyone who interacted with him. I really agree to that and subscribe to that theory. And so it's easy to just reply to the good comments out there and say thanks and, live in your own little bubble. But when there's actually people out there, and the Ethereum comments were a little bit different. You could tell that they were just like either bots or very, the people I would never associate with in real life. But at the same time, you can't just pick and choose what you respond to. If you actually want to build something, you have to respond to everybody out there. It's a conversation. It's not just me talking to a camera here. And that's the beauty of this whole show here, is that there's comments in the chat. There's people like Fanta here that I don't necessarily agree with in a lot of ways, but still here talking about Bitcoin. That's the one thing that we have in common, and that's what we're going to keep talking about here. Wondershare says it's so obvious that the U.S. government created it and no one sees it. That's true. That's true. I think that there's nobody else. There's no single person on earth who could have created Bitcoin. And we say Satoshi. It's a big mystery out there who created Bitcoin. It was so clearly the U.S. government, the NSA. But if you start there and you think that every aspect of Bitcoin, it was so well thought out, and everything, the harder you attack Bitcoin, the harder it pushes back. and nobody is going to be able to stop Bitcoin. And that's how it was designed. Everything was built by design here, and it was absolutely genius. And it wasn't one person who thought of this. It was a group of people within a very intelligent organization together. So if you start there and you think, okay, well, it had to be somebody like that. It had to be the NSA. But then you keep going and you think it would never benefit bad actors. Bitcoin could never, if you truly understand the ins and outs of Bitcoin, it would never be a benefit to bad actors out there. Centralized central banks, Bitcoin is designed to destroy them. So within every entity, within every organization, it's just made up of a bunch of people like you, like me. That's every organization, good or bad. And there's good people in every organization, and there's bad people in every organization. And so I think that it was invented by the US government, as Wondershare says here, the NSA, but it was a group of good people. And the reason I say that isn't because I'm trying to give hope to anybody out there. It's because Bitcoin has no benefit to bad actors, to centralized control structures. It has no benefit to it. So if you think about that, why would they release Bitcoin? Why would bad people release Bitcoin? Couldn't have been. Just doesn't make sense. Sebastian says, is Argentina making an El Salvador move? Yeah, I saw that they were meeting with the Argentina or the El Salvador government. Argentina met with El Salvador to discuss digital currency, aka Bitcoin. Pomp, good morning, my friend. Hasib Anwar, there's a new face. Good morning. Lots of people in the chat today. I missed this one though too. Muslim Bitcoiner says, Assalam. I'm guessing that means good morning or hello. First time here and new Bitcoiner. My faith brought me to Bitcoin rabbit hole to be the most halal form of money. Was a gold bug and learned about money in 1971. There you go. Welcome to the channel. And I think that was a couple months ago now where they officially, I'm not going to pretend like I know about Muslim faith or Muslim anything, but I do know that Bitcoin was officially deemed halal form of money a couple months ago. And the amount of people like Muslim Bitcoiner and the amount of money that's going to come into Bitcoin because of that in the next couple of years is probably going to be as much or more than the ETFs. I do know that. Brendan says, go to show putting yourself out there is not without risks and consequences. You're a brave one. I don't really see myself as being brave. I think that everybody in Bitcoin is brave in a lot of ways because it takes a lot. It takes a lot to go against the grain and to go against the normal society, the way we've always done things. It takes a lot of stones, a lot of balls to do that. And so, I mean, it's one thing to show up and talk a bunch of bullshit on YouTube. And I mean, to me, it just makes sense. And that's what the title of today's show was about, is that it's so obvious what's happening right now and nobody sees it. We have, yeah, okay, we'll leave it there. Brennan says, these seem to be silly, low consequences act by Ethereum heads. Just imagine how big your target will look when you hold the world's money and they don't. Yep. Sorry, I'm kind of falling behind here in the chat in a lot of ways, but I do want to give a quick shout out, a couple shout outs over on Zap.stream to Microdose, BTC, 21 sats. Only Satoshi zapped 1,000 sats over there. And Adrian, 21, My Path to Fire, 100 sats. Thank you, everybody. Very, very much appreciated. Only Satoshi said, Trump said Bitcoin like that's the 7th time he's ever said it. He's a marketer, man. He knows how to get people to remember what he says. I just think that everything about him and everything that he says is very calculated. And I appreciate that about him. Aaron Haywood says, all tech is created by CIA or government. Doesn't make me less bullish on Bitcoin. Yeah, that's what I mean. It doesn't matter who created it. It had to have been a good person or a good group of people. because it does not benefit bad people. It does not benefit centralized control entities. It doesn't. It does zero good for them. It destroys them. And the harder they push against it, the harder they're going to lose to Bitcoin. I mean, we got a lot of different opinions in the chat this morning. Look at this one. Hey, dude, since it seems you care about Bitcoin for real, can I suggest a video from Bitcoin Mechanic to watch when you have time? Oh, I thought I was getting chirped here again. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you head over to zap.stream, find the video, and you can share it in there. Because you can't share links on YouTube, but you can on zap.stream. And I see the grinder is in the zap.stream, just zapped 1,000 sats. Good morning, Jor. Thank you. Thank you. I was watching the grinder play Diablo on the weekend. I was doing some editing and some work on the computer and watching him play. So I used to play Diablo when I was a young lad. There was one more piece of news here that I wanted to share, and it was about Kenya. Here it is. The Kenya government. Just in from Bitcoin News, Kenya and Marathon sign a historic deal to monetize underutilized energy across the country and jointly develop technology projects. So there you go. Marathon Mining signs a deal with Kenya to monetize underutilized energy across the country and jointly develop technology projects. Bitcoin has no, Bitcoin's going to touch every part of our lives, whether you're in Canada, whether you're in Kenya, whether you're in the US, UK, Bitcoin's going to have an impact on every single person's life here in one way or the other. And, you know, that's kind of the whole point here that I wanted to talk about today, is that it's happening. Like all the things that we imagined a couple years ago in terms of the ETFs, in terms of governments, the US is arguably the biggest country, the most influential country on earth. And there's going to be an election in 5 or 6 months from now. And in that election, Bitcoin is going to be one of the main points for a lot of people voting. Something that we've been talking about for a lot of years. It's happening right now. And it's so obvious to me, and it's so obvious, I think, to a lot of people in the chat here, that this is happening. Every single day we see things like this. We see things like Trump. And for the people out there who are failing to realize that they're going to be in a lot of trouble right now. And it's the simple fact that no matter what country you're in, no matter what province you're in, no matter what city you're in right now, people, their families are all talking about how hard life is right now under the fiat standard. And so if you were to introduce Bitcoin to them 5 years ago, they would have looked at you like you had 3 heads, because, you know, our monetary system here in Canada was fairly functional. Everything was fine. Everybody was living good. Everybody had very cheap access to debt. Food was fairly cheap. Everybody was being very well employed, very productive. But now, fast forward 5 years, and if you talk to those same people and you mention Bitcoin to them, they're a lot more open-minded to it. And that's all that's going to happen here, is as fiat continues to completely obliterate countries and lives and everything like that, Bitcoin is going to be the light for a lot of people, and people's minds are finally open to something that can change. It's just, no matter what you look at in life, no matter what you point to, every single issue, the core problem there is fiat. And even in the weekend, I didn't really want to talk about this today because it really hit home to me on the weekend. But it's the truth. And so I think you need to talk about this kind of stuff. But there was a PGA player on the weekend. And his name was Grayson Murray. And I don't know if you heard about this or not yet, but he played the first 2 rounds. There was an event on the weekend, a golf tournament. He played Thursday. He played Friday. And then on Saturday morning, he committed suicide. And I mean, it doesn't really matter. There was a lot of people saying that it could have been this, it could have been that. It doesn't matter what it was or what the issue was. I don't care to know. The thing that I do know is that there's a lot of people going through that right now. And it's just not what we were meant to be. That shouldn't be a thing. It shouldn't be a thing. And you can point to a lot of different things, but everything, including that, it comes back to the fiat, comes back to our monetary system. And every single part of our system right now is designed to keep people down, to beat the shit out of people. And you hear things like that. And somebody who's playing professional golf for their career, millions of dollars in the bank account, commits suicide. Why? Why? How could that ever happen? 30 years old. How could that ever happen? And to me, it's just our society right now. And the reason our society is the way it is right now is because of our fiat. Everything is designed to keep you down, especially if you're a 30-year-old white male right now. And nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about that. And people need to start talking about it because it's a really, really big problem right now in every part of the world. So thank God we have Bitcoin. Thank God we have communities like this that, you know, are trying to push things forward here. And the one thing for me within Bitcoin is that, you know, people think that everybody in Bitcoin is just here to make some money, to turn $1,000 into $100,000 and get rich. It's not. Every single person I've met within Bitcoin and every person I watch online about Bitcoin, everybody's doing it for the same reason. It's not to get rich. It's to make actual change in the world, because we've been enslaved in a world of debt for our entire lives. For the last 100 years, we've been enslaved into the system. And it's just not right. And so the reason I'm here, the reason I think a lot of other people are here, is to make actual change. And, you know, I see Zap.stream stream cut off. It's just been one of those days. But anyways, I apologize for kind of being a little bit scrambly here today and not being overly prepared for it. But Muslim Bitcoiner says mental health is something overlooked in fiat. Look at the kids; they aren't even right, especially after COVID. It's a problem. It's a major problem in our society, and everything leads back to fiat. Everything. Magic Mountain 33 says XRP will help people boost people's money issue. We won't even go there right now. So anyways, that's I think that's enough for today. I don't know. I maybe we'll talk about a couple positive things, because there's been a lot of not positives today. But let's go through there was one comment that I saw over the weekend that I wanted to talk about. Where was it? Where was it here? Fuck. Of course, I can't find it right now. It was actually a response to something we talked about, and I think that was actually very useful to talk about. But there was one comment that says Bitcoin can't stay at 70K. It's going to infinity or zero, and I'm betting on infinity. And that was another thing. That was another thing that I did want to talk about today. Is that I heard somebody say over the weekend that if you believe that Bitcoin is not going to zero, then you'd better get a seat in the arena. And I think that that's one thing that we can kind of talk to about with our friends and our family as things continue to depreciate here in the fiat world. That's the one thing that you can say, is that, if you don't think that Bitcoin's going to zero, then you should probably just get some. because as this comment said here, it's either going to infinity or it's going to zero. And a lot of people out there, they've come to the realization that Bitcoin is not going to zero. And when you start to understand Bitcoin, you can see that Bitcoin's never going to zero. And there's reasons for that. There's a lot of reasons for that, because there's people like us. There's people like me, like you, even Magic Mountain in the chat. People will always pay for Bitcoin. There's already so many systems in place right now that are being built. And I just wish that people could see that. That's the one thing I wish that the average person out there could see what's happening in Bitcoin right now, because there's so much being built. And aside from the countries, aside from the ETFs, aside from Trump, all that kind of stuff, the thing for me right now is that the most intelligent people are working in Bitcoin, working on Bitcoin together. A lot of people are doing it for free. And I think Michael Saylor tweeted on the weekend, and it was talking about Trump's speech, but it said, there's nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. And that's kind of where we are right now. And there's so many things being built on Bitcoin. And that's the one thing, like I said, I wish that people could see what I see here in Bitcoin every day. If you're tuned into what's happening in Bitcoin, the amount of positivity, the amount of different applications and systems and everything that's being built, basically that's going to just allow us to go around that old system. As it continues to die, all these things that are being built right now are just going to continue to allow us to go around that old system. And so, just think about everything that's happening in Bitcoin right now in terms of what's being built. And I'm looking at some of the chats here. And greetings from Poland. Look at that. Good morning. Maji. I'm not going to try to fucking pronounce things. XRP is the Trojan horse, I think, for people to lose their money. Dr. Chihuago, when the music stops and you get no chair, you get trouble. 21 million chairs, never more. Agreed. This could be a new low for the next bear market. We sure have been consolidating at this level for a while. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that's happening right now is like we've been at 70,000 or 65,000 for the last month or so with no real movement at all. We hit an all-time high and then we crashed down a little bit, and we've just kind of been flatlining here for a while. But the thing to keep in mind there is that the longer it consolidates here and stays flat, I think the faster it's going to jump in the future. But the one thing that I would say before we wrap up here is that if you think about kind of where we are right now, in terms of Bitcoin, and the title of the show is, it's so obvious and no one sees it. The internet went through the exact same thing. And I know it's tough to compare the internet to Bitcoin, but they're both protocols. And so just think about this for a second. Think about if you could have had the opportunity back in 1995 or 1996, if you could have had the opportunity to invest in the internet. And I'm sure if you talk to the average person out there, maybe even more advanced than the average person out there, they would kind of compare the Bitcoin ETF and Bitcoin. You might compare the ETF to owning an Apple share back in 1995. And you might compare Bitcoin, imagine Bitcoin, or imagine back in 1995 with the internet. Imagine that there was a device where you could hold it, you could own it, and that was the only thing that you could use the internet on. And there was one company who made it, and you could invest in that company. And their device would be the only device that you could use the internet on. And think about, where the internet is today, 15 years later. But with that, I mean, like I said, if you ask the average person about how to compare Bitcoin to, what would they say? That's what they might say. But you also have to consider the fact that it's so much different than that. Because with Bitcoin, if you think about Apple shares and investing in the ETF, it's different, because with Apple, if their company introduces a new technology, a new product, the iPhone, the iPad, the iPod, they could just issue more shares. And so eventually the supply would meet demand. And even with that device that I was talking about, the only device on earth that's compatible with the internet, the company that made that, even them, even if you invested in them with the internet and 15 years into the internet, what would happen there? They would just produce more devices. And so eventually the supply would keep up to the demand and prices would fall back down. But with Bitcoin, we're going through the exact same thing. It's a protocol, but with Bitcoin, you can actually own a piece of it. And with Bitcoin, you can't issue more shares. With Bitcoin, you can't create more products to satisfy that demand. You can't do it. And so we are truly going to go into a place here sometime in the next couple of years where the supply is so short and the demand is so high, and there's no ability to make more of it. And when that happens, if you understand economics, if you understand very basic economics, when supply can't keep up with demand, what happens there? And that's what we're going to go through. That's what we're going to go through. BTC Backpacker says, I have a good website with nothing but lost or built clients on it. It gives you a good starting reference point to be able to transact through Nostr with Bitcoin and Zaps. I'll send it to you later. Well, I'll tell you to go over to Zap.stream, but apparently it cut off. Reckless Ray. That's a great name. Reckless Ray says, is this your first halving cycle? It's 3 to 6 months post halving before the run. Yeah, if you look at the last couple halving cycles and what went down, it went up a little bit after the halving cycle, and then it basically flatlined through the summer. And then in the fall of 2020, it went from 5,000, I think, in May 2020, all the way up to 65,000 in January that next year, or December. So as Reckless Ray says, it will happen faster now because there's way more solid of a foundation here. The floor is much more solid. Question is, what will the bear markets look like? That's something I think that a lot of people are asking and nobody really has an answer to. Will there be a bear market? Probably. I think it'll be something along the lines of, I keep going back to the XRP well here, or not the XRP, but the Ethereum. I think that the Ethereum will be the greatest rug to happen in crypto. And I think it's going to scare a lot of people away. I think it'll either be the ETFs with Coinbase because they're so centralized at Coinbase. I think that either the US government, I mean, if Trump's in power, obviously this won't happen, but the Coinbase will either get subpoenaed, could get hacked, or I think the Ethereum will finally, the rug will be taken underneath everybody. And then we'll see a bunch of fear, a bunch of bullshit out there. Everybody will be selling, or the ETFs will be selling. And then we'll go into another artificial bear market for a while. And then Bitcoin will just keep doing what it does because it's the greatest asset in history. It's a scarce asset with a fixed supply, and everything will continue to fall in relation to Bitcoin forever. So there will be bull markets where it happens very fast. There'll be times where we go, flatline for a while. There'll be bear markets. All this will happen. That's just the market. That's how humans are. People get excited. Everybody's buying. The price goes up. Everybody's scared. Everybody sells. The price goes down. But with Bitcoin, as I just mentioned there, comparing it to Apple, comparing it to the internet, Bitcoin is different because there's only so much of it. And, probably as we go through 2 or 3 more cycles, that amount of lost Bitcoin, which is currently at about 3 or 4 million out of 21, will get higher because there'll be people from, 2020, 2021, etc., who just got into Bitcoin because it was going up, forgot they had it. And we're not counting those as lost coins yet, or they screwed things up and their dog ate their private key. Those aren't factored into the lost Bitcoin yet. We have 3 or 4 million considered lost Bitcoin right now, but that's from like 10, 12, 13 years ago. We're not taking into consideration the people who bought it in the last year or two, or even the last 4 years, and don't have their keys anymore. So, I mean, bear market, bull market, if you actually understand what's happening in Bitcoin, it's all just noise pretty much. Don't forget to catch that like button. Yeah, I mean, this is probably the most people we've ever had watching the show on YouTube today. So it'd be appreciated if you're watching, if you're enjoying it. It's been a bit of a different show today, so don't base your your thoughts on the show based on today. It's been a different one today. NVIDIA can hold $100 trillion worth of wealth. No company can. Bitcoin can hold infinity. I mean, that's a perfect example. NVIDIA is the fastest growing stock, I think, in history. And if they wanted to, they could just issue more shares and sell them. And every time a new share gets issued, your share goes down in value. It's the same with any other asset on earth except Bitcoin. Oh, he said NVIDIA can't. Yeah, exactly. What else we have here? Reckless Ray says there's something weird going on with the numbers. The math isn't mathing. I agree with that. You know, there's just been too much happening in Bitcoin for it to stay this price for so long. And I think that there's a lot of people making that happen right now. And it's kind of shitty. It's unfortunate for us, but at the same time, I'm not selling my Bitcoin. So Bitcoin could be 65,000 today. It could be 650,000 today. I'm still have no interest in selling my 90% of my Bitcoin. And I know for a fact that there's a lot of people out there who share that exact same mentality. And as this thing moves forward, that's just going to make things go even more crazy, I think. Because nobody's going to sell it. That's the thing. Pal says, how many sats for no more Trump talk? I mean, we had to talk about it today. I think that's been one of the biggest. We'll look back on yesterday and what Trump said, and if he gets into presidency, as almost as big as the ETFs, if not bigger. Because unfortunately, as much as Bitcoiners want to believe in this world where politicians don't exist and we kind of just create our own rules, we still have a lot of years where politicians and banks are still fairly relevant. And so the more of them we can have on our side, the faster this whole thing is going to move forward. So as I said, you can like him, you can hate him. It doesn't really matter. He will do good things for Bitcoin, and that's what we need. So I apologize, Mark, that you're not into the Trump talk, but to Mark and to everybody else on the internet right now, and I said this in a couple comments, is like, if you don't like it, the beauty of the internet is that you can just keep scrolling. You can watch something else. Right? So I'm not saying that to Mark, obviously. I'm actually, speaking of that, I should give a shout out to Mark here on the show. I'm not telling Mark to go anywhere else, but you can check out Mark's new store. Let's end on this. Let's end the show on this today. Go over to, actually, I'll bring it up on the screen for him even. This is one of our friends within the community here, Mark. He's been working pretty hard on his new website, and so I want to show it off today to everybody. So here it is. This is onlysatoshis.com. Very good name, by the way. I'm surprised he was able to get that domain name. And kind of the cool thing on that, and something I've been reflecting on a little bit here myself, is that we have this group called Living in the Future. Mark's part of it. And we've been building things. There's been a lot of things that have happened so far in a very short amount of time on the Living in the Future community there. Not really, there's been a couple of ventures that happened, but there's been YouTube channels that start up. There's been websites that start up. There's been Substacks that start up from this Living in the Future. When you have people sharing the same vision, the same goals, and working together, it's a very powerful thing. And so even with this Only Satoshis, like Mark is living in the future, because the average person right now doesn't really know what a sat is. This is called the 88 Sats radio channel. Nobody knows what a Satoshi is, but when it's mainstream, we're going to be living in a sat world. Nobody's going to know what the price of Bitcoin is. They're going to know what the price of a sat is. And so if you're somebody who's starting a business or thinking about starting a business in Bitcoin, if you want to be ready for what's coming, focus on the word Satoshi, not Bitcoin. And that's exactly what Mark did here. And so this is his store, onlysatoshis.com. You can see some cool products on here, including the King Tee, which I may or may not have had some sort of influence on. But it's our King Golf logo with a little lightning bolt on there. And I hope there's going to be a hoodie version of that someday. There's golf one there with the King logo on it. And just a lot of really cool designs on here. That's the famous Buy Bitcoin sign. I love this shirt. I'll probably grab a couple of these soon. But just awesome. So big shout out to Mark there for taking the initiative, for taking the time to set up such a cool website here. It's called onlysatoshis.com. And you can only pay in Satoshis. There you go. So, I mean, with that, one thing we've been talking about in the last little while here is that the one thing we can do as Bitcoiners within our little communities here, obviously we all share the same goals, share the same interests. We get along very well. But when you're outside going, at the golf course, at the mall, at a restaurant, if you can wear stuff like this, like Bitcoin shirts, Bitcoin hats, whatever it may be, I just think that that's such an easy way to find other people out there who are Bitcoiners. And there's really nothing like meeting a Bitcoiner in real life and instantly having that something in common that you can talk about. I don't really know anything else other than Bitcoin where you can do that. So one very easy way to do that is just get yourself something like this, the Buy Bitcoin shirt, and just wear it around and see what happens. Because if you're not wearing that shirt and you run into a Bitcoiner, there's really no way for you both to know that you're Bitcoiners. Nobody walks around with a Bitcoin sticker on their head, but you can wear a shirt, you can wear a hat, and you can find people who you're going to instantly resonate with. And you really never know where someone's, you really never know what one interaction is going to lead to in life, whether that's online or in person. So let's leave it there for today. Once again, I apologize for a bit of a weird show today, but we got it done. We showed up, and I'm glad that we did. It's funny. It's just how the universe works. I almost didn't do the show today. Almost didn't do it. And then, zero time to prepare. And we had the most people we've ever had in the chat today. There was over 60 people watching at one point. And also on the weekend, we hit a little bit of a milestone, 2,000 subscribers on the channel. So, it took me 2 years on the 88 Sats radio channel. It took me 2 years to get 1,000 subscribers. And then it took me 2 months to get 2,000 subscribers on here. And after one day, there's already 100 more on there. So that just goes to show that if you really want to, if you really believe in what you're doing and you enjoy what you're doing, the best thing that you can do is just be persistent. Be persistent, be consistent, show up, and everything takes time, whether that's in Bitcoin, whether that's in golf, whether that's on building a YouTube channel. You have to be consistent and you just have to stick to it. You can't quit. I think there's a lot of people out there who are so close to achieving what they want to, and then they quit. And then they never know what could have happened. And then when they're 80 years old and they're looking back on their life and they have those regrets from just not pushing a little bit further and quitting early. So just keep that in mind. Whatever you're working on, whatever you're focusing on right now in life, just keep at it. Keep at it, because on the other side of that struggle, on the other side of that, just the last bit of effort there is exactly what you're looking for and what you have been looking for. So I appreciate everybody who's been showing up to these shows in the chat and for subscribing to this channel, making it what it is. And it is just going to continue growing because we're showing up. We're here. Even on the days we don't want to be here, we are. So I hope that everybody has an amazing Friday. I know that this Monday over here is going to get a lot better than it's been. And with that, I'm going to hop over. I think I'm going to do a golf show over on Zap.stream. I'm going to figure out what's going on there. It might be in 5 minutes. It might be in 10 minutes. But even last time we had 6 or 7 people in the Zap.stream in the golf show. And that's another thing. I just got to keep pushing through it. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be a struggle for a while. But I know that on the other side of that is the magic. So thanks, everybody, for showing up today, for getting through this show today. Like I said, when you do a show every day, there's going to be some good. There's going to be some bad. And this one worked out to be pretty good. So join us over on Zap.stream for the golf show if you're a golfer or you just want to hang out for a little while longer. And if not, we'll see you first thing right back here tomorrow morning. And yeah, big shout out. It's Memorial Day. I forgot about that. To all of our American viewers here. 50% of the viewers on this channel are American. So happy Memorial Day, everybody. I hope you have a great holiday today. And if it's as nice there as it is here, hopefully you get outside and touch some grass for a while. So have a great day. We'll see you right back here first thing tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.